Okay, bit of a struggle getting the old ones out there, the old bushings, but the new ones do fit extremely well. And here's my arbor press, big honkin' C-clamp, little honkin' C-clamp, and in order to get them all snugged down, I just give them about a half a turn, pretty cheesy, really cheesy, but half a turn, half a turn, half a turn, and voila. At least with my eyes, you can't tell that that wasn't done properly in an arbor press. Okay, progress. Tuners are on. They were basically a drop fit. If you really eyeball them, they're a little bit cocked here and there, but that's because I was using the original holes. So, you know, if the original holes aren't perfectly straight, you're not going to get the replacement tuners in there perfectly straight. You could always fill the hole with a little dowel or toothpick or something, and then you know, re-drill them. But for this particular project, it seemed adequate to just put them in, screw them down. As I said, you can see a little bit of offset to them, just to prove that I do know the right way to do it. Usually what you would do is you'd screw down one screw on each housing, then you lay a flat edge along the flat side of the housings, square them all up, and then maybe tape them in place, get a marker, mark where the second screw hole goes, drill it out, and put the tuners in. But since these were such a close match to the originals as far as spacing and everything went, I just threw them in there. Sorry, but the upside of all this is that you're getting a tuner that at least will hold pitch. These are not great tuners. They're not really much better than what was in there, but they're way newer and they'll work as well as they work for a while. And you know, had them laying around. They would have just sat in a bag on the shelf over there until I died, and my wife had to throw them away. And they really have no cash value, so it wasn't like I was going to put them back in one of my guitars. And it actually looks a little nicer because it gives you some nice fresh chrome up at the top. I think I'll replace this string tree too if I have a replacement around. These are a classic place for the strings to hang up and cause the guitar to go out of tune if you bend a string or something. So if I have a graphite one or a roller one hanging around or anything that's better than this stamped metal one, I'll put it on. Otherwise, it'll just come back the way it is now. But it's really pretty close to being ready to be restrung. I might remove a little bit of the schwunda from the fretboard, although it doesn't really look all that caked up. I'll see if I can maybe get some lighter fluid and do something there. Lighter fluid and a credit card or a little piece of thin steel, thin aluminum. Scratch that shit off. But it's not real built up, as I said, so we'll see. All in all, it's coming along pretty well, pretty quickly, pretty problem-free. It's a little tricky getting those bushings out. A couple of them were really in there, but I was able to tap them out with a little center punch or something. Well, my idea of a center punch, actually a removable screwdriver head I just whacked on the end that would fit into the kind of screw that I'll never have to screw into. So if I damaged it, who cares? But I'm starting to like this, and clean the fretboard, string it up. I think I'll oil the truss rod if I remember to do that. Oil the truss rod so that if I have to adjust that at all, it'll move. It won't be all creaky, and no risk of breaking it off after all this hard work. All right. Next installment. Next time the network signs me a check. Okay, all you drunks out there, let's make sure this is working. Okay, I guess that was on. Alright, well, I stopped now at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Put a good 3 hours in on this thing, I think. Already showed the tuners. Blah blah blah. Strings are on now. This weird top loading bridge. And first thing I notice is some of the strings are just totally fretting out. Usually that means the neck has a back bow, which is bringing the frets too high. So when you when you press down the strings, the string gets deadened by the fret above where you're pressing. The strings have been off of this thing for a while, so I'm going to string it to pitch and let the neck settle in. That should pull the neck up a little bit out of any back bow that it has. It doesn't really appear to have any back bow when I sight it down like this. It actually seems to have a little bit of an up bow, or maybe the fingerboard was never leveled correctly when it was built. Sometimes that can make an optical illusion of a up-bowed neck. But for now I'll leave it strung to pitch, because there's no sense setting it up if the neck is going to continue to move, because then I'll have to set it up again the next day. But most likely culprit there, the action is just about right on some of the strings, but it looks like the bridge saddles here are set too low, at least on a couple of the strings, so it's probably going to be a matter of adjusting these set screws so that the bridge saddles follow the contour of the neck radius. Of one like this, one straight, and one like that. That's exaggerated because the diameters of the strings are different, but that's the first thing I'll have to set. I expect some of that buzz might go away on its own, but the saddles, this one's clearly low for the B and E string. Also, the position from the 12th fret to here is way out of whack, so it needs a lot of adjustment, and I frankly don't have the energy right now to deal with it, and it would be pointless because of the neck thing. So I'll let it settle in, and tomorrow, if I'm feeling ambitious, I'll see if I can get at least a basic setup in place. I did find a knob to replace this missing one here. Turned out I had a Gibson style toggle switch, and I only need the black cover. They come with a black and a white, so I left the black one. I switched the black one onto where this was, and put the white one on here. Turned out it was a pretty perfect fit, which surprised me. And only other thing is, I took the string tree off here. I went to replace it with something better, but I don't know whether that's going to fly. I had a lot of problem with this hole. This hole wouldn't take the screw in straight, so it's probably just been in and out so many times that it's not holding a screw anymore. But I filled it with a toothpick and some glue, so that should be ready tomorrow. I'll probably have to drill a little hole in there with a Dremel or something. Then I have the truss rod cover off because I won't have access to it immediately tomorrow if I need it. And all the stuff is in a bag. Every half-assed guitar tech's favorite thing is the Ziploc bag, nature's most perfect invention for little loose parts. Here's Harry's old tuners, his old string tree, this old truss rod cover, and all the screws, and the eyelets, whatever the hell I called them earlier. And so everything's pretty much in place, and now it's a waiting game. It's always a waiting game with me, but I got to this remarkably quickly. I've only had this for 3 or 4 days. kind of stirred up my enthusiasm for doing this sort of thing a little bit again. And it's coming out pretty good. I hope I can get the setup right, because obviously if I can't set it up right, it'll look good on the wall, but it won't do much. But I think I can get it playable. I don't know if I can get it sounding creamy. I'm not sure it's a creamy sounding guitar, but do what I can to make it into something where you can have some fun with it. That's all that we can really ask. Some people can't have fun without a 54 Strat that costs more than a house, but I can have fun with anything. So tomorrow hopefully will be a fun day. Okay, signing off on April 16th or 17th, whatever it is.